You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you a little bit about our current sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. As you well know, if you've been following This is Oklahoma, they've been a huge part of this podcast. So this podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling an Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Also, for the podcast, a new sponsor, RCB Bank. The home market is booming and RCB Bank is here for you. If you're in the market to buy a home, a mortgage pre-qualification will make the process much easier. Talk to one of our mortgage professionals today. RCB Bank, that's my bank. With approved credit, terms and restrictions apply. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, RCB Bank, NMLS 798151. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode down at the Bedford studio today. For me, it feels like I haven't been down here in a couple of weeks, but I haven't been down here in a couple of weeks, but I've been thankfully have episodes in the bank. So it's nice to come back and sit down and take some, do some podcast stuff. So my guest today, Justin Hodges, born and raised in Oklahoma, going to talk about your family business and how you get into doing what you do now. I'll link his website below, the two websites below, because fabrication and metalwork is very hard to do and not easy. But their finished product looks so good. And me being in real estate and seeing kind of like, this stuff and how much, appreciating how much work goes into it. And when someone puts that in their house or in their restaurant, or their commercial building, it's not just like a wooden hand railing or whatever. It's crafted. So I'm excited to hear that story. Thanks for coming down. I guess we'll start. We'll go right at the beginning. Born and raised here, right?
Yeah. Yep, I'm 43, been here my whole life, born in Oklahoma City, went to a private school up until 7th grade, and then we moved to where my parents still live, 10 acres in Edmond.
Okay.
And I was a part of the first graduating class at Edmond Santa Fe, 1996, and I have another two sisters and a brother.
Okay.
So everybody went to Edmond. Everybody pretty much still lives in Edmond. One of them lives in the city, but yeah.
That's awesome. And then, so the family business that you grew up in, then, tell us about that.
Yeah, great grandfather started Hodges Trucking, 1932. We ended up running that business, many other businesses over the years, but that was the primary core business, which was rig moving. So we moved drilling rigs.
Gotcha.
For all the big drilling companies. Worked for all the major oil and gas companies throughout the years. I ended up being fourth generation, but growing up in that business was awesome. It was just awesome.
You're a kid, you're like, I get to drive trucks. So I get to be around trucks, right?
Oh, yeah.
Every kid's dream when you're always playing with a dump truck when you're a kid, right? Or something, and you see these real life toys. You're like, I get to ride around in these?
I didn't realize how lucky I was when I was a kid until I got older. And I was like, I cannot believe my dad would let me operate some of that equipment at 12 years old or whatever it was. So very fortunate. It was pretty cool.
No doubt. Cool. Yeah. So when you graduate high school, then do you go to university, or are you thinking I'm going straight into business? Yeah,
so my first thought was, I need to try to see if I can do something else on my own. I was the oldest of 12 grandkids, so a lot of kids could have gone into the family business, but a lot of people just, they all went different ways. But I went to OU for a little while, and it's randomly I was working for the trucking business summers and on weekends. I'd go back and forth, and I started working in the welding shop and started just working on fabricating oil field equipment. And then my mother asked me to build a bed for my sister, so that's kind of what piqued my interest.
Sure.
Out of the middle of nowhere, because I had no artistic experience that I knew of.
Right.
And then a decorator friend of hers was asking me, can you make a coffee table? Can you make curtain rods? Can you do this? And woke up one day and I'm like building furniture and stuff on a regular basis on the side. So it's kind of random.
Right. So that from there, then you, like I said, it piques your creativity and your interest, and out of nowhere you have a bunch of orders from family that says, hey, I'd like a pretty cool looking metal table.
Right.
And a glass metal top, or glass tabletop, whatever it is, and then you have orders out the wazoo and you're busy then.
Yeah, so I was going to school and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I just knew I needed to go to college, so I was studying business communications. And I had to go down to the border of Mexico in Laredo. We took a crane down there. And while I was down there, I started seeing a lot of metal furniture like stacked in these huge piles in 3-acre lots.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand what was going on, so I pulled into one of those places. And they told me that they wholesale. People come from all over the United States and wholesale this furniture. They'll bring a U-Haul truck and fill it to the top.
Yeah.
So when they told me the pricing, I was just blown away how cheap it was compared to what it took me to make something. So being in the trucking business, going to school at OU, not quite sure what I wanted to do. I had a 10-hour drive home from Laredo, and I was just on fire. I was just thinking, oh my gosh, I can buy this and do this to it and tweak this, and I'll build my stuff and pair it with this stuff. So within a 10-hour drive, I realized that I wanted to open a small home decor and furniture store. And I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I never even worked in a store in a day in my life. So when I got home and told my parents that, of course, they thought I was crazy. So
like, you've been driving for 10 hours, go lay down, talk to me in the morning.
I don't think you know what you're talking about. But I had my mind set on trying to figure it out. I just, like I said, I couldn't believe how affordable. And it was so cool, some of the stuff they had. Back then, scroll work was really popular. Now it's not so much. It's all modern. But a coffee table that would maybe sell for $800 or $1,000, I could get for $125.
Yeah.
Take it back, rework it a little bit, and have pretty good margins.
No doubt.
So I talked them into helping me open a small 1,000-square-foot store in a strip center in Edmond, like a week after I turned 21.
Yeah.
Which, looking back now, if my kid brought that idea to me, I would highly advise that I would steer them away. Let's just say that.
Yeah, let's try something else soon.
Get
let's
your
try
education.
Online business first, right?
Yeah. Well, nowadays, they have, back then we didn't have online.
Can't commit to a 12-month lease or whatever and be like, I'm going to sell all this stuff.
Yeah. It was pretty risky, but I got my education really quick in the furniture and home decor business. 9/11, and I ended up in North Park Mall in a 3,000 square foot store, and that ended up being a really cool experience. I had some good store owners around me, and we all fed off each other's traffic. And then 9/11 hit, and I went from probably 50 people a day coming in my 3,000 square foot store to 5.
Yeah.
And after about 2.5 months of that, and I was selling next to nothing, people just froze.
Right.
I realized real quick I was going to have to get out.
Yeah.
So I got out, and then it was like, now what am I going to do? I put all my time and effort. I quit OU.
Yeah, because you don't have a degree, right? Yeah.
I didn't finish. I got about halfway through school, so I was like, should I go back to school? I didn't love school. So my buddy, who had a motorcycle manufacturing company, sold all over the United States, had dealers all over the place. He said, why don't you come work for me for a little bit? We need a sales guy, and you're good with people. So motorcycles are awesome.
Of course.
I mean, I had only driven one a couple times, but I thought, let's just give it a shot. I went over to Ridley Motorcycle Company for about 8 months or so. Really learned a lot about selling. I had a ton of fun over there, and they were awesome to work for.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Dad one day, just trying to decide what my path was going to be, and he said, why don't you just come work in the family business for a little bit and just see if you like it.
Right.
If you don't, go do whatever you want to do. I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. I've been around this business my whole life.
Right.
I'll figure it out. So I got in there, and I went out to the field at first, just because in that business you really need to experience what goes on in the field. I wasn't out there very long, and they brought me in the office, and I think it's because my mother didn't want me out there because of how dangerous it is. I mean, it's super dangerous.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So they brought me in, and at the time they had to let go of our head of safety, which in the oil and gas trucking business, safety is huge.
It is everything, isn't it? Yeah.
It's everything. So they said, we think you'd be a good fit for the director of safety position.
Here's a desk job. You've been outside your entire life. How about Mum says you should have a desk job? I'm sure you were thrilled.
Yeah, I was like, what do I know about safety, first of all, other than don't do that, that looks stupid.
Right.
So I got thrown to the wolves, but they just basically said, "Look, we'll figure it out together. We'll teach you."
Yeah.
And so I had a 13-year career. I learned a lot. It took me a good year and a half just to figure out what it was I was supposed to be doing there and what my true role was. I was the only safety guy. We ended up selling the company in 2006 to Chesapeake Energy.
Okay.
And of course, they were huge at the time. We were one of many companies that they had brought in.
Up. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we were under Chesapeake Oilfield Services. So then I kind of got into the corporate world.
Gotcha.
And we went from, at the time, I think we had around 180 employees, 6 locations, to 9 locations, and we got up to like 550 employees.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
I ended up with 25 people in my department. It was cool. I mean, I learned a lot.
No doubt. Yeah. It's the total opposite to family business, right?
Oh yeah.
You're like, now it's like you said, everything goes up a scale, and you have corporate stuff to deal with, and hierarchies, and people, and HR, and all the rest of it. I mean, it's so much different from dealing with a family business, where most of the business is done over a handshake and business relationships.
Yeah.
And then in the corporate world, it's like, no, I need a contract for that now.
Right.
And we need to make sure it's a contract, because
yeah,
there's no secret that the US loves to sue people for something, right? Like, people are a sue happy culture out here.
Yes. And I welcomed it. It was exciting. It was fun. It was I'm going to learn so much here.
Yeah.
And these people are going to teach me, I knew a lot about the business that we were in, but there were so many other things that I had to be involved in, being a part of a lot larger group. It was super interesting.
Yeah. So 13 years.
13 years. But I kept building furniture on the side, kind of as a hobby, obviously trying to make a little extra money. But in 2009, we were building a house, my wife and I, our first house. And we needed some support brackets for underneath the countertop, which is one of 50,000 decisions you have to make when you're building a house. Yeah. And since I'm a metal worker, I told the builder, I was like, I'm going to make these metal corbels. Yeah. And he was like, okay, I've never seen any like that. Everyone uses wood. Right. Long story short, made these brackets. He was like, these are awesome. You ought to start selling these.
Yeah. Can you make me 500 more for the other houses I'm building?
Right. That would have been nice. Right. It didn't quite work like that. But so I got on the internet, started researching, and I wasn't really seeing anything out there like what I made. Okay. Everything was made in China. It was cast iron. It was cheap and flimsy. I had made a high-end bracket. Right. So I went to my wife after, a month or two of research, and I said, hey, this sounds crazy, but I want to open an online store, and I'm going to sell nothing but brackets. Yeah. And she was cool with it. So wroughtironcorbels.com is what we started in 2010. Okay. And I was building these brackets like 3 days. I'd go to my day job, come home, and at the time we had one kid, my daughter, who's 13 now. Give her a kiss, make a sandwich real quick, go down the street to my parents' house. They had a huge barn in their backyard. Yeah. And I'd build brackets 3-4 days a week. Yeah. Take them to UPS the next day and ship them, go to work. Right. And I did that for about 8 months, and it started growing and growing. And I was like, wow, I've actually kind of got a business here. Right. And hired my first employee. That's awesome. Pushed down about a year and a half. We ended up in a 2,000 square foot shop close to the trucking business, so I could kind of go check on them at lunchtime. Yeah. And then we went to another 2,000, so we had 4,000. We ended up in 6,000 square feet after about 4 years. Yeah. And I had 5 employees. Wow. And this was all on the side. Yeah. I was still in the trucking business. It would have been a different conversation if you'd have told your wife, hey, I'm quitting my job. And like you'd have told your mom and dad when you were at OU, right? Yeah. It's like, no, you're not. We need stable income. Yeah. And a family. And it worked out awesome because I didn't have to, I could self-fund the business. Yes. I didn't need the money, so every dollar I made I put back in, and I just grow and grow. And we started making bathroom vanities. Mm-hmm. I started going to some trade shows, the International Home Builder Show. Yeah. And anyways, it started taking off from there, and we formed Urban Ironcraft so we could start selling all these other products. Gotcha. Which is now turned into many product categories. Right, yeah. Wine displays, tables, fireplace screens, bathroom vanities. So we started wholesaling also. We started selling through other online stores.
Got you.
Now, when you go to our website, you won't see any brackets. I ended up selling wrought iron corbels maybe a year and a half ago to one of my wholesale customers who had other online stores. They wanted it.
Yeah. And
I kind of wanted to get away from retailing brackets and just become a true manufacturer at this point.
Yeah.
So where we're at now is we're really trying to grow Urban Ironcraft and all these product lines. But then you saw Legion Metals.
Right, yeah.
So people ask, okay, what is going on with Legion Metals? Because for so long we were Urban Ironcraft and we just did everything, right? We had our product lines. We did architectural metalwork for restaurants, bars, and whatnot. So when I realized that Urban Ironcraft needed to become a true e-commerce store brand that focused on products, I needed to separate out the architectural metalwork. So I formed Legion Metals just for branding purposes so that it wouldn't confuse people.
Yeah.
And that's where that came from.
Got you.
Which is a huge part of our business.
Yeah, no doubt. So the Legion side is, like I said, more about fabrication and your super, custom stuff, I guess you probably do as well.
Every single
Restaurants
thing we do is custom.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like I said earlier, if you don't know much about it and you see a piece, it intrigues you because part of you thinks, okay, like you at least know that this because it's custom. It probably took a lot of time and effort, and that's not easy to do. Even as a kid, right, learning how to weld, that's a skill. That's a lot of people listening might not know that, but there's welders get paid a lot of money, especially in the oil field. Yeah. To do, it's not easy work, right? And as a kid, I'm sure you're 12 years old, like your hands were very rarely clean because you're always working every day or doing something. But that's super awesome, and no doubt, like when you're a kid, you probably didn't think you'd have this, right? Of all the places you'd be, you never thought you'd have had two of these, these businesses.
No, a lot of kids don't know what they're going to do, even when they graduate college, right? Yeah. What am I going to do with myself? I just got this degree in whatever. Yeah. And I was very fortunate to realize that I love designing and fabricating and just constructing products. Really, I was about 18 years old. Yeah. And even though I spent 13 years in the trucking business, and I loved that too, and I thank God every day that I was brought there and learned what I learned because it transformed into what I do now and helps me every day. But I always had a passion for creating product, and so I'm really blessed to be able to do what I love.
Yeah, and it's just like there's so many. It's such a clean finish, isn't it, with the metal work? Like it's okay, you can put different finishes on it, but just seeing something in metal, like I know Logan from Basic,
yeah,
and I've seen the work that they do, right? With the doors and the stairs and like, it's. And I come from the residential real estate side, so I see a lot of like the big fancy doors that they put on houses and the iron railing staircases and and then you see the website of the stuff that you guys do in the restaurants and. It's no doubt when a restaurant owner sees this and they think, I want to make a statement. Yeah. We're going to be here for a while. The plan is, let's do this. And even if it's just a shelf, right? Like you said, you start with brackets. People think, it's just a bracket. Well, it's not because it becomes a decorative piece and part of the design of the room.
Yeah, and we do residential work as well, but I would say probably 75% of the architectural stuff we do is restaurants, bars, hotel, casino, whatever. Yeah. Commercial office spaces. We're involved in 3 restaurants as we speak right now. One of the projects we just completed the other day and installed this last week was a giant pivot window that raises above people's heads and has gears and all this to be able to do that. And we had to create, we had to design it from scratch. Right. And stressed me out.
because that 13 years of safety is now I need to figure this out.
This window weighs like 800 pounds. Right. And the owner he wanted something that no one else had. This is a huge statement piece in the restaurant. Yeah. So I just told my guys, I was like, we're going to figure this out.
Figure it out.
I don't really know yet, but we're going to figure it out. And after weeks and weeks of scratching our head and engineering, and thank God we draw in 3D. I've got an awesome team, and we've come up with some crazy stuff that I didn't think we could do, and we pulled it off. And It's pretty fun.
Yeah, having that ability to draw in 3D and kind of like create something and see it on the screen and simulate how it's going to work.
Yes.
It's changed the game, isn't it? Compared to like giving you a pencil and a piece of paper and say, draw this.
If you saw how I drew in the beginning, you would crack it. I still tell people I still draw, and I draw in Microsoft Paint. And if you've ever used Microsoft Paint, it's very simple.
Very.
But I'm pretty good at it.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, Jonathan came on board like 4 years ago, and he showed me the world of 3D and SketchUp, and oh my gosh, it's changed our entire business.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
It's magical, and especially when you then present to the customer, hey, this is what it's going to look like.
Yes.
They don't have to imagine. It's there in the figure and in the 3D rendering. It's like, what finish do you want it? Here's what it's going to look like.
And it helps me because I can see something built, but then I've got to tell the customer, and that's really hard to do in 2D.
Right. It's like Chinese whispers then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I thought you meant this. I'm like, no, I meant this. And I'm sure when someone's investing in a statement piece, they want it to be right. And
yes.
they got to get their views across and make sure that what they want is exactly what they think they're telling you what they want.
Yes.
Right? Because there's nothing worse than setting expectations and that you give them a finished product and like that's different color or nowhere near what I wanted.
Yeah, and that was the risk that I had early on in the business is if I don't communicate this well and they're expecting this and we show up and install it and they walk up and they're like, you take that risk. Now with 3D renderings, I mean, you're going to see exactly what you're going to get, minus a few little details here and there. Like on that window, we couldn't communicate exactly how the gearbox and all that was going to function.
Yeah.
But we could communicate 90% of what the window was going to look like.
Right.
And that's all he really cared about. He's like, I know you guys are going to figure it out. Just make it happen.
Yeah. It's nice to have a customer like that too, isn't it?
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
like,
awesome.
I trust you do what you do. You're good at what you do. It's the reason we want you to do it. Knock yourselves out. Like,
yes.
This is the idea of what I want. Go do it.
Yep.
So the urban Ironcraft thing, then that's like people probably listening can go and they can buy pieces for their house and everything that you can think of, as well as office furniture and stuff like that. Whereas the Legion side is your more creative design, custom restaurant style office pieces.
Yeah, usually what we build on the Legion side, a lot of it comes from an architect.
Yeah.
And then the GC hires us to bring it to life.
Gotcha.
But a good portion of our customers will come to us also with inspiration photos and say, I want something like this. Can you figure it out?
Right.
And we just,
Yeah. Well, and in the last year, right, people are now working a lot more from home and they want a killer desk to work at now, right? And there's nothing better than walking into a home office and seeing a custom metal desk.
Yep.
That probably had to take the window out to put it in, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
What's it been like? I mean, for you, like creatively kind of just, obviously with the urban Ironcraft side, there's a lot of products that are the same, but when someone comes to you and like to that point, it's like, I want this, and you get, as a creator, you're like, let's figure it out and let's make it. Like,
my favorite thing is when a customer, I love designing conference tables because conference tables we can kind of get pretty wild with, depending upon the customer.
Yeah.
Like just say it's an advertising company and they want to wow their customers.
Of course. Yeah.
So every once in a while we'll have a customer that will come in and say, look, you've got a lot of cool stuff, but I want something different. But I don't know what that is. So can you just get wild and do something like this or whatever? And I always tell them, like, at least go to Pinterest maybe and just get some ideas of things that you're thinking about and then shoot me those images and that'll at least give me a direction. Right. But we've done some pretty wild stuff in the past, and it was just fun that they just let us run free with it. I love it when someone lets us do that.
Yeah. Super happy. So obviously, as well, I mean, when you look at the website, you guys aren't just local here. I mean, you ship nationwide, right?
Yes. We actually send a lot to the East Coast, believe it or not.
Okay, yeah.
I never would have thought that.
Yeah.
But we send dining room table, everything we make, right?
Right.
But when you're sending a 10-foot long dining room table that weighs 300 pounds, and we have to build a custom crate for everything we do because nothing is really stock.
Oh, yeah.
So shipping is expensive these days.
Right.
A lot of the deliveries we do are considered white glove.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll send a dining room table to downtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
And we've got to make sure we coordinate well with the customer to make sure that thing, it's expensive. It's
you don't need someone to crane it through a loft window or whatever to get it in.
I hope not. That would be a heck of a thing to coordinate.
With your trucking background, do you ever think about having the distribution side as well?
No.
Is it just not just with having just one truck or whatever, two trucks to kind of...
Yeah, these companies that we use, we ship probably through 8 different carriers.
Okay.
And they literally have 10, 15,000 trucks. because they can touch every square inch of the United States.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The only thing we can do is deliver locally. Even if it goes to Tulsa, it's almost worth for me to ship with a carrier.
Right.
Unless it's a big conference table that someone spent a lot of money on and maybe needs to be put together. Yeah, I'll send a couple guys and we may go up there and erect it. But other than that, we ship every single day all over the U.S.
Yeah. What was it? I mean, obviously with the website, right? The good thing about websites is it's worldwide. But what's it like when you get that first order and you're like, oh my God, I'm shipping to Manhattan or like whatever. It's like, I mean, it's great shipping locally, right? Because you'll probably think, oh, someone's got a referral, they've gone through a friend, they somehow know me through 6 degrees separation. But when you get an order from nobody that you know, from halfway around the country, that's got to give you some goosebumps.
Oh, it's super cool.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while, someone from Australia or wherever will say, I love your wine display. I've got to have it. Do you ship to Australia or England or wherever? And the answer, unfortunately, right now is not right now. Well, can I ship it to a friend and then they ship it? I mean, they'll try to figure out whatever they can. Yeah. But it's always cool that when you find someone that loves your stuff so much, they're willing to do whatever it takes and spend whatever it takes to get it over there. But yeah, when we've shipped to Alaska or whatever, you're just crossing your fingers thinking, I'm sending this dining room table all the way to Alaska. What if it gets scratched? What if it gets dinged? Yeah. So, and that happens every once in a while. Yeah. I don't care how well you package. These trucking companies can be really rough. So we've learned to try to bulletproof our packages and crates the best we can. But believe it or not, a fork will go through a pallet and will dent the side of a dining room table. And we've got to build them another one, send it right away. Yeah. So it happens. Yeah, because sometimes if it's a restaurant, right, they're waiting. They have an opening day. Yeah. Like they have deadlines. Yes. And the last thing they want is you showing up. And like I said, it's a package showing up and some fork truck drivers had a bad day and not been paying attention. I can't tell you how many times I've laid awake at night when we've done some huge crates. We did one job in Atlanta. It was a big metalwork package for a new corporate office. And we sent these pieces. Some of these pieces are $15,000, $20,000 worth of metalwork on one pallet. Yeah. And I'm just thinking, if that gets damaged, like the amount of effort it took to build it, right? You almost want to I am the personal chaperone of this package. I'm going to go wherever it goes. If it wasn't so far, I'd personally drive it there. Right. Yeah. But it's not practical. So yeah, a lot of sleepless nights hoping to God your stuff gets there okay. I couldn't. Yeah, I mean the thought of that, right? All the you've put so much work and effort into it, right? And it's a huge piece, and it's obviously great business as well. The last thing you want is to get there and they're like, yeah, it's dented. Like, yeah. Like now, what do you do with it? You just can't do it. You could. Oh, and if it's a rare piece, it's one thing if it's like a wine display or a fireplace screen, right? Where we build a lot of those. Yeah. We can turn one of those products around really quick and get it right back to them, and then we'll fight with the trucking company. Right. You don't worry about it. We'll get you a new one. I'll get that piece back. I'll try to get my money back. It's not your problem. Yeah. It happens. That's the world we live in, right? I mean, things. It is. But, I mean, it makes every day different, which is good. Yeah. So going forward then, like we have these 2 websites, have this business now, and you're shipping all over the country, which is, I mean, it's amazing to look at it in the time that you guys have been in business, and just to come from making a metal bracket, I'm even coming from like being that 21-year-old and opening that store and thinking the world is my oyster. Now I'm going to, when you're 21, you think you're going to make $1 million your first year, right? I mean, it's like that typical like entrepreneur man math that we do, right? Like if I get this many customers a day and sell this many stuff, I'm going to be a millionaire. Right. Wish it worked like that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're 22 years later, you're in a place now where, you've gone through, the trials and tribulations of owning a business and opening a business, right? You've gone through a business, you've opened one, you've had to close one, and then you've gone to the corporate world and now come back. And there's a lot of people listening that, they might be just coming out of college, right? And they might have given themselves a plan of like, I'm going to do a business or I'm going to try this. And there's so many lessons in that. Mm-hmm. What are the lessons I think that you have learned coming, through all those experiences and when you had to close your business at 21, I'm sure that wasn't a great moment for you, right? I mean, people are looking at you like a failure, which at 21 is not what people want to be. You want to deal with that, but you obviously bounced back, and now say 22 years later, you're a successful multiple business owner. So from a business owner's perspective, what are the lessons you've learned? One of the main lessons, or something I could tell someone that's considering opening a business, becoming an entrepreneur, is man, you better be passionate about what you do, because there are days that I'm going to the office thinking about all the challenges I'm facing at the moment. Even though business can be great, it is super stressful, and having employees is very difficult. There's 10 of us right now. And I came from a world, like I said, where we had 550 employees at our largest, and I've experienced all that and all the tug of war that comes with being a counselor as a boss. And if you don't love what you do, it can be very, very difficult. So a lot of people that just think they're going to throw something at the wall and like, if it lands on this, I'll go do that. I highly advise against that. I mean, you really need to carefully think about, because if you love what you do, man, it's so much easier. It's just so much smoother. You're still going to have tough days, but it makes life so much better. And
to that point, like when you know, like you said, if you don't really love what you do, and someone might pop up with another idea, and you're like, "Ooh, that looks better. I'll go do that." Right. And I mean, like, we're always kind of like looking, you know, especially when you're searching. You've just come out of university, or I mean, maybe you haven't gone to university, but you're searching for a purpose, searching for something to do. Like I said, if you don't figure out what you love to do, then you have all these other opportunities that come up, and like, oh, maybe I could do that and not this, and you know, sell online or whatever it is. But
well, luckily in this world that we live in now, I mean, there's so many opportunities. Even back when I started the furniture business, the store, I mean, online was just really starting to become a thing. E-commerce, really, I don't even think it existed at the time. You can literally sell anything you can dream of now and make a living doing it. Now you're also competing with everybody and their dog online, and the advertising game is crazy now.
Yeah, it's expensive.
We're all competing for the same pair of eyes. So now it's, even though we make an awesome product, if people don't find it, I mean, there's only so much you can do. So I'm getting into we're getting ready to turn our shopping cart on finally. So people will be able to come to the website, order a custom piece of furniture, and hopefully not even need to talk to us. Because right now when you come to Urban Ironcraft, and let's just say you want a custom coffee table, we may go back and forth through about 5 emails to get it nailed down exactly what you want, and then we'll move on. In the future, here very soon, we're in the middle of it right now, you'll be able to choose your length, your width, your height, from 12 or 15 finishes, whatever we end up with. And we'll send you a custom piece of furniture. There's not a lot of companies you can do that with. So that's where we're going in the future. And maybe one day there really won't be large furniture stores. I'm not sure.
Because a lot of furniture, I mean, they've been going out of business, right? Furniture stores, especially like in-person, like off, you know, like store locations.
Especially the smaller boutique stores. You know, the big stores like Mathis Brothers will probably always be around. And they have e-commerce as well.
And they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing.
Exactly. And they've got a name that lasts, 75 years, whatever it is. But our customers are needing that very specific piece. We sell a lot to interior designers, architects, home builders, and the homeowner. When they come find us, it's because they have a specific need that you can't go get at one of those stores.
Definitely.
So bringing that online and having all the drop downs to where you can get that custom piece and literally not have to talk with someone, it's going to be pretty cool.
Has it ever come across like your mind to like relocate?
Like out of the state?
Anything, because I mean, it must. And I know these pieces are custom and stuff like that, but you think of a lot of furniture, and a lot of it's made in China, or it's made somewhere else, right? And I think you guys are totally different because everything is made here in Oklahoma, right, for the most part. And it's, I don't know, I just like it's just something might have popped up and said, what about coming overseas? And you look at the margins, but.
Well, I get approached all the time for manufacturers overseas because they're out there looking for people like me all the time. So they'll approach and say, hey, can we put together a whatever program for you? The thing is everything we make is made to order to your size. Now, we will have in-stock products in the future, but I'm just a stickler on quality, and I hear horror stories of containers coming over here and 25% of the load has issues. What do you do with it at that point? I don't have to worry about that. I see me personally, I see almost every piece that leaves. Now, as we grow, that's going to become more difficult, and with quality control, we'll have to put a lot of measures in place, but I know that everything that leaves there is as close to perfect as it can be. Unless it gets damaged along the way, of course.
No, but you're right. It's just an added value, isn't it? And it's part of the brand now that everything that we do is made here to the specific specs that the client wants and the finishes, and that's I mean, it is hard to scale that, but like you said, over time, when you put in quality control measures, there's no doubt that you will build and scale that. And I assume that is the goal now going forward, is to, hey, I found what I love to do. Let's grow this, and it might be a generational business like your family's trucking business was, for it to become, right?
That'd be cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
I see having 30 or 40 employees one day for sure. The potential is there with the way the industry works now.
Yeah.
So the sky's the limit for what we do, and I'm just going to keep pushing forward. Yeah. And on the Legion Metal side, it's more of a local thing.
Right.
It's kind of hard to build a restaurant package and ship it to New York. We just did it a couple weeks ago, though. Yeah. So, I mean, it does happen. But on the scalable side, it's a lot tougher to scale that business than it is Urban Ironcraft. So,
well, and also like by doing that, that's something that like you get your name out there, and you work with companies who, there might be someone in Oklahoma who builds restaurants for Chick-fil-A or for whoever. I mean, not Chick-fil-A, but I'm trying to think of an upscale steakhouse for an example, right?
Yeah, Rooster Chris.
Okay, yeah. Like, what's the steakhouse we had at the Omni that just came in? Bob's, is it?
Yeah.
Like
so someone I did metal work in the Omni.
There you go. Yeah. See, someone who comes here, they're looking for you, and then, like I said, they hire you for that one opportunity. You do great work, and then they're like, oh, now we want to hire you to go to New York or Nashville or wherever it is.
Yep.
And that's like through word of mouth and that opportunity that you've got, right? That's how you build the relationship on that side.
So bringing that up, there's a local company, Caston Millworks. They've been around forever, and they specialize in restaurants all over the United States. BJ's Brewhouses is one of their biggest customers. So that's when we started doing architectural metalwork. Was for BJ's Brewhouse.
Yeah.
I bet I've done 35, 40 of those.
That's awesome.
All over the U.S. Now, they probably have 125 locations, but it's pretty cool to say that you've been involved with that many restaurants all over the U.S., and we kind of got those packages down to a science, so we can ship them off to Seattle or whatever, and they have install crews that know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
So there is some scalability there.
There's the scale for sure.
I just personally really love furniture, designing furniture products, the wine displays and shelving and different things that come along with furniture.
Yeah.
And that's the side that I really see growing.
What's the stuff, I guess, that's kind of trending at the moment then? What is coming in with, just offices and residential, luxury residential houses, stuff like that? What are you seeing a lot of?
Well, metalwork's been popular for a long time, but the styles have changed over the years. Like I said, back when I was growing up, scroll work was just everywhere. That's all you saw.
Up staircases and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the certain finishes that you just saw in every single house. Now, it's very rare. I'm not saying it's not around. There's still some Tuscan homes and things like that being designed today, but probably 95% of the homes are either transitional or modern or, kind of a mix. So everything's just real clean lined and straight, which we love because it makes our job a little bit easier. All that scroll work was very difficult to work with. Super heavy, intense, very expensive.
Yeah, time consuming.
Very time consuming. But finishes are trending, gold has been popular for a few years now, and it's just still, it blows my mind. We literally shoot gold every day.
Yeah.
I never would have thought.
Right.
When I first started this, when I started making brackets like Old World and black and, the steel colors were really popular. We literally shoot gold and silver every single day.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of interesting watching the trends come and go. But
yeah,
when you work with a ton of interior designers, they're gonna help push you in directions, and you're just gonna go with them.
Yeah, that's great though, because like I said, you're at the forefront of that creativity and that design, and you get to see the trends that are coming, which probably helps you on the other side to market products then through Urban Ironcraft. It's like, hey, this is coming.
Yes.
Now we can push all of this stuff or get it in early on it because it's coming as well, right? Which is nice to see, and a great side of the business as well.
Yeah, the wine displays come to mind. I had no intentions of making wine displays, but we had an interior design customer of ours, Jennifer Welch. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she's done really well. She had a really cool customer that owns a winery, and they wanted an entire feature wall to display their wines, and then a huge cabinet. And she said, I want something different. I don't want to just go buy something off the shelf. Can you help me come up with something? So we were like, sure, this is fun. So we started designing, and Jonathan and I came up with this wine display that is now turned into an entire product line. And I see an entire category, maybe even another website dedicated just to the wine display business.
Amazing.
So I never would have done that if she wouldn't have pushed me and challenged me to come up with that product. And that's pretty cool.
That is
who knows what
cool.
else we'll do in the future?
Yeah, no doubt. like I said, you know, thankfully you've got clients like Jennifer, designers that come to you, that trust you, that say, let's push the boat out here. Let's do something completely different, because they put their name on it as well, don't they? They're the ones that like, they get design and think, you know, let's really do something. Let's make a statement here.
Yeah.
And you're right. She has done very well. And
She's done
I've seen
really
her. I mean, you know, her Instagram and her designs is.
She's good at what she does.
Very good at what she does.
And we work with a lot of awesome designers. I mean, we're really fortunate to have such cool relationships with a lot of them, and they're just repeat customers. They just keep coming back, and I get to see all the neat things that they're doing. So I'm always kind of getting to see the latest of whatever it is, appliances and whatnot, because we're in all these people's homes.
Well, and you built that trust over the years to know that you can be trusted to make a quality product and to the specification that they want, right? You've kind of you're on the level that they're on, right? You know, there's nothing worse than going to someone and like not trusting that they got what you want them to do. But now over the years of relationship that you've built, they come to you and they know you're on exactly the same page. Let's knock it out. And there's nothing better than having business partners and clients that really trust you. Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's pretty cool. I mean, we wouldn't be where we are without these relationships. And, you know, we have designers all over the U.S. And you may not hear from one of them for a month. Right. And you're like, man, I hope that last project went well. And next thing you know, next week they're emailing you like, I loved this, and now I need you to do this. It's like, okay, cool. We nailed it on that one. Is anyone ever shocked that you're from Oklahoma? That you're like, your stuff's made here? All the time. I talk to a ton of customers, especially on the ultra custom stuff. And I love to hear the East Coast people, because they'll hear, you know, I guess a little bit of an accent. And they're like, so where are you guys located again? Because, you know, they're on our website, but they don't always go look. And I'll say Oklahoma City, and they're like, really? They'll kind of stutter for a second, like you're not from California or, you know, wherever, Seattle. Because when you think of custom high-end furniture, you don't necessarily think of Oklahoma City. Maybe Dallas. So that's always kind of people on the coast cool. Still think we ride horse and carts here, so it's totally fine, guess so. Right? I guess so. Brilliant. All right. So for people listening, where can they go to? You know, like social media stuff as well. Or they, you know, while they're listening, they can straight from this go to that, and the websites, of course. I'm all over Instagram for Urban Ironcraft and Legion Metals. I'm kind of active on LinkedIn too, a little bit on Facebook, but Instagram's the best. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Justin, for everyone listening, I'll link those down below in the description. You can click on them right now and go check that out. But man, thanks so much for coming down. I really appreciate it. It's exciting to hear the family story, and like, you know, it's always great to hear how you got to where you are, right? You know, with the family trucking business and navigating that, and a 10-hour drive back, you know, to figuring out that I'm going to open a store now, right? And then that, you know, because of 9/11 and everything that happens there, that doesn't work out, and you go back into the business and you end up in safety, and now we are here where we're at. You just never know. Love it. Love what you said though about finding something that you love to do. For everyone listening that wants to start a business, yes, that's the key. Yeah, that's the key for sure. Be passionate about what you do. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming down. For everyone listening, I'll post the links to Justin's social media and the website in the description, and we will catch you next episode. Cheers. The home market is booming, and RCB Bank is here for you. If you're in the market to buy a home, a mortgage pre-qualification will make the process much easier. Talk to one of our mortgage professionals today. RCB Bank, that's my bank. With approved credit, terms and restrictions apply. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, RCB Bank, NMLS 798151. This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at OklahomaHOF.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.